What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Chad Sommer. And with me tonight is AKA Baby Girl, also known as Baby Girl, also known as my wife, Shauna Sommer, also known as a co-host here. She's joined me tonight as we talk about the all too often struggles of addiction. Through powerful stories from those who have faced these battles and won, we aim to inspire and give you the tools to overcome. Each episode, we bring you real-life stories and expert advice to help you understand and support recovery. So whether you're on your own recovery journey, supporting a loved one, or just want to learn more, guess what, you guys? You're in the right place.
That's right.
So let's together break the chains, everybody. Welcome to Rock Bottoms Up. Let's get this party started. Woo, she says. Woo, she says. I don't know about y'all, but tonight's subject, what we're going to talk about, relapse. Relapse or don't relapse, guess what? It's up to you. Here is a staggering statistic. Approximately 40 to 60% of people in recovery from drugs and alcohol experience relapse during periods of hardship and tragedy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And we kind of know why. When it's good, it's good. When it's not, it's not. And the high rate highlights the significant challenges individuals face in recovery, particularly when navigating stressful life events.
We're going to flip the script a little bit, and I'm actually going to interview Chad and ask him a couple questions, because you know what, you guys? We have been going through a season, and I've really had to watch Chad, implement different coping strategies as we've navigated this, because what has that been like for you these past 6 months with just since January, with all these challenges, starting with your shoulder surgery?
I had shoulder surgery. I haven't worked since December. I found out that I have an issue that the doctors don't know what's happening, and it's gotten to the point where I can't sleep at night. I just got into a car accident.
Right.
I broke down. I hit my limit. I knew the warning signs. This is get help now. And so I reached out, made my phone calls, and you have to get out of your feelings and emotions as fast as you can.
Okay. I think that's such a great point. And I know you probably hear that if you're in a 12-step recovery right now, or you're in counseling, that's like recovery 101, right? Have somebody to call. And I think, maybe sometimes people take that for granted.
Staying stuck inside your head and not reaching out and communicating with others is extremely dangerous.
For the loved ones and the family members, I think this is something important to bring out. And so, I can't tell you how important and impactful it was for me to know that not only did you have this support system, like you purposely put the support system in place, but then you activated it and you reached out.
Yeah.
And you were able to come back to me, and it alleviated so many of my fears and stresses. On the flip side of it, for the loved ones, it's like you can see the train wreck about to happen. And a lot of times that's not pretty.
Well, one relapse could take a life.
There's, you have a statistic on that, and so, it's like 300 and some odd people a day we lose to addiction. And so having that support system, I just want to tell everybody out there, from that perspective, that's how you continue to build the trust back. And that's exactly what it did for us. It's not like I didn't trust you or I lost trust for you. It's that I had fear over, I could see, oh my gosh, this is all stacking on top of each other. And I know this is the point when, things historically, and that's when you see people fall apart. And to see you, the admiration and respect I have for you, not just as my husband, but as somebody that cared enough, not just about yourself and your own life, but about, your family, the people that love you, reached out, you came home, and we had a great conversation. And that was so impactful, not just to help him in his recovery and to help me as his spouse, but to help us, get back on track and then start to deal with the problems.
Right.
And so the great part about that is that we can band together now. And like we did that today, we went and we took care of some of these issues that we're dealing with, and we did it as a couple and we did it joyfully.
Yeah.
And, grateful to be with one another as opposed to in fear and frustration and irritation and all those things that break down relationships, not just with your partner or your spouse, but with your kids, your parents, your siblings, your friends.
I just want people out there to know that no matter how long you have been in recovery, factors such as the lack of support, inadequate coping mechanisms, and occurring mental health disorders can increase the risk of relapse. I'm in therapy. If you can get to a therapist or a counselor, somebody you can trust, to be able to talk about these issues that you're dealing with. Access to mental health services, in my opinion, are essential for helping individuals maintain the recovery during difficult times.
And something that you said the other day that I really love, Chad, you said, I've realized I can't ever get lazy or too comfortable in my recovery.
Our job here is to shift you out of fear and into faith so that you can go boldly give God your yes. The world can't wait. We don't have time. We don't have time. We don't have time. You are not going to leave here in fear. Fear gets to go in Jesus' name. It's time for you guys to step across the threshold. This is your call right now. It's not 37 years from now. You have all the power within you to say no to fear. If you have a hunger, you have a hunger, and you have a hunger, and you're like, yes, I just want God to touch me. It's why I came here. I don't want to leave without it. I want to go out in the world so filled up with Jesus that if it unzip me, Jesus is just going to pop out. I'm ready. I'm ready. My soul and my spirit and my mind are strong. And I want to go out in the world, and I want to be a bold, unstoppable force for God.
It's like, man, every hurdle that could be thrown in our path has been thrown in our path.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've heard you say so many times, the Chad 10 years ago would have given up by now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he doesn't. Like every single day he wakes up. It's like he goes to bed and it could have been the worst day ever. Last Monday was a pretty bad day.
Woo!
And he woke up. And was it perfect and rainbows and sunshine the next day? No, because the problem still wasn't fixed. Still was there. But he woke up with a new perspective. And that perspective was, today is not a day I'm going to relapse.
And I'll tell this to anybody to their face. It's not weak to reach out for help.
No.
And I think there's a stereotype that a lot of people think if they reach out for help that it shows signs of weakness. There is nothing weak about you fighting for your life. So that day, here I am well into my recovery, teaching people about recovery, podcasts about recovery, very open and vulnerable about recovery. And it was extremely humbling to get to that point, that breaking point. But then I realized that the most important thing that I can do for myself right now is fight for my life. And I reached out, and it was humbling. But because I reached out, I woke up the next day and I'm like, you know what? Thank God.
Yeah.
God, I thank you, God. Today, I'm not drunk. Today, I'm not high. I was able to fight for myself.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how empowering that was.
Right. And I think, just one more point to that, which I think is really, again, just to commend you. And also, like, I think it's valuable for people to hear this. You've just always been so, like, if I do see things that I think might be red flags, you're always willing to listen to me and willing to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't become this defensive argument. But on the same hand, I want to give myself a little bit of kudos. I don't nag. I don't sit there and constantly expect that you're going to relapse. That's not what I don't place those assumptions on you, that the assumption that you're automatically going to relapse. I make the assumption that you're going to do everything to succeed.
Yeah.
And I want to be here to support you in that. Like you getting in the car accident, that was just as stressful for me as it was for you. And the thing that I appreciated most is that, even, maybe for a split second, it was you getting in the car accident and you have to deal with this issue. But there was a point where you're like, no, this is us. How are you? Are you okay? If you're working with somebody that's in recovery, if you're with somebody that's in recovery, you have to have healthy boundaries. And I will also say, I know Chad's people. So if I can't talk to him and he's not listening to me, I can call one of his people and have them call him. And I think that's really important. Like, I think understanding who that support system is. And so it's important that everybody in the process is open to doing what it takes.
It's a community, and things work so much better when everybody's involved. When you start seeing the isolation,
right?
When you start seeing that's really when our fallout, really starts to begin, when the communication starts ending.
Right.
That's why it's so important, for us addicts in recovery, that we are open and honest with our spouses. Because when we start not being honest and open, when we start holding back communication, that causes division, period. And it doesn't get better until you resolve it. If you don't resolve it, that wedge keeps getting bigger and bigger. So just know that, these little issues, these big issues, whatever it is that you're facing, you're battling, just know you're not battling it alone. People, our loved ones, they're watching us have to go through this. Let's band together and create that community, create that open communication. So this isn't something you just have to fight on your own. She doesn't have to suffer by herself. Right. With this this community banded together, it will create more opportunities. It just gives you your best option for success.
Right. And that's how you break chains, and that's how you start to see families change.
Absolutely.
And that'll have a big resonating impact.
Absolutely.
For a long time to come.
Absolutely.
And so I know that you have it's a free ebook or PDF that you have at rockbottomsuppodcast.com that they can download for coping strategies. And I've watched him implement these. Honestly, they're great. I've implemented some of them.
Yeah.
Just for myself. I mean, healthy coping strategies are great across the board.
Yeah. There's a blueprint out there.
Exactly.
For success,
but that's available, if you do have some questions on some things, but get your circle, find your people, and reach out, join this community, be a part of it. But I want to commend you. I want to commend you for all the hard work that you've done this past year and a half, but specifically these past few months, this last little bit of this season that we're in,
Right.
that is
It's been rough.
coming to a close. But man, I just appreciate that you are my partner, you're my best friend, you're my husband, and I'm grateful that I get to do this with you.
I can't tell you how grateful I am to have somebody that is willing to give me a safe place, to be vulnerable, to be able to communicate. And you've been amazing at giving me kudos, loving on me for the things that I do. That goes a long way for a relationship and for me personally. So I love you.
I love you.
Guys, just so you know, yes, it does get easier, but it only gets easier when you face those hard times and use the tools and the community around you every time. When you start doing that, yes, it gets easier. Why? Because now you're building on that foundation that will keep you sober.
Yeah.
I always want to keep my community strong, because regardless if it's relapse, or just life is handing you some lemons, communication and community is key. You're not alone. You don't have to fight alone. So, we just want you to know we're in this together. We may not be fighting the same battle as you guys, but I guarantee we are fighting the same enemy. And together we're going to take back what is ours. And that's our life. We are united, walking in this path towards a future filled with hope, healing, freedom, while helping pick up our new brothers and sisters along the way. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.
Yeah.
And joining us here on Rock Bottoms Up. We love to hear feedback. So if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, focus on, guests you want us to bring on, or just some flat out recommendations, please email us at rockbottomsuppodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate that love and support. And for tonight,
thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. And just remember, it's worth it. It's worth it to push through. It's worth it to reach out. You're not weak. And tomorrow, it really is a new day.
good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Rock Bottoms Up. Visit rockbottomsuppodcast.com and get your free gift, Rock Bottoms Enough. 5 action steps to never hitting rock bottom again. And we will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you were moved by Fearing to Face promo video that played in our segment today, for more, go to www.fearingtofaithlive.com.